Welcome to Satsang, and welcome to this amazing and divine and sacred Kumbha Mela of Asparadobia. This is a time in which we're bathing not just in the waters, not just in this Sangam, but that we're actually bathing in the very truth of who we are, that we're taking that dip in the very truth of who we are. And it's an amazing opportunity, as I've been saying to everyone, here in this time of Kali Yuga, it's the age of darkness. It's quite literally, it's the age of ignorance. It's the age in which we are wrapped up more and more in Maya, more and more in ignorance, more and more in separation. And yet, this exact moment at this place is the time that the universe comes together to give us a bit of a head start, you can say. I was thinking about it. My dad plays golf, and he's an avid golfer. He's a wonderfully hearted golfer. But, he didn't start golfing early enough in life to actually become a great golfer. And so he gets this thing called a handicap, where I guess when he's playing with other people who are better or a difficult course, they do something, they add points, they subtract points, they do something to give him like a head start so that he's got, kind of a fighting chance in the game. And I was thinking about the Kumbh, and I was thinking about the cosmic alignment and how it's like the universe has come together to give us all that type of a head start. To say, look, we know it's Kali Yuga, we know that you are wrapped up in ignorance. We know you're distracted, we know you're tempted, we know you are looking for the right thing but in all the wrong places. And so we're going to come together. We'll get all the planets in alignment, we'll get all the suns and the stars and all of the energy of the universe will come together in such a way to give you this boost. You still have to play. You still have to do your part. But it gives us that bit of a catalyst, that bit of an extra opportunity, extra possibility. So it's a really, really special time and a really important time not to waste. I was having a snan out at the Sangam a couple of hours ago with some people, and one of them is a renowned actor. And so naturally you can imagine the crowds were coming, everybody trying to take a picture. And he said so beautifully, he said, look at these people. He said, most of them just seem like they're here for a picnic. He was there in full devotion, him and his wife, like just wanting to have this moment of immersing themselves in this divine, sacred water, of doing their puja. And everybody was essentially in the midst of their picnic and had an opportunity to snap a picture, celebrity. But it really made me start thinking of, how lightly people take these amazing opportunities. How lightly we take the human birth, which itself is such a sacred opportunity. The reason that the human birth is considered the pinnacle, the highest of evolution, is not because we're the most compassionate, not because we're the most intelligent, not because, I mean, there's 100 ways in which so many other species are actually so much better than we are in so many ways. But the reason that the human birth is considered the pinnacle of our spiritual evolution is because it's considered the one birth in which we have the ability to be conscious of our consciousness. That we have the ability to say, my stomach is growling, my mouth is watering when I see that hamburger, but I'm a vegetarian. I'm not going to eat it. Or I've got this fire of rage that is boiling through my blood. I'm so angry, I want to kill this person in front of me, or at least hit them very hard. But I'm not going to, because I know that that's just my temporary emotional state. I know I will regret it. I know that it's not the truth of who I am. I know that it's going to acquire all kinds of negative karmic fruits that I really don't want to have to deal with later on. And so whether it's physical hunger, whether it's anger, whether it's just run-of-the-mill distraction, temptation, we have the ability to look at it and say, that's a biochemical reaction in my brain, but I'm not going to listen to it. Or, oh, that's just my ego. That's just a pattern. That's my ignorance. That's my false identification. I'm not going to listen to it. And it's said that as humans, we are the only ones with that ability to look at ourselves and see that. And therefore, we are the only ones with the ability to attain moksha, to attain liberation, to free ourselves from the games of the mind. So if you're here because you've been called. And because you've been called for a really important purpose. And when I say here, yes, I mean here in the Maha Kumbh. But as we have so many family members joining us online who are not necessarily physically here, we also mean here in this human body, here in this birth. If you are here on planet Earth, it's because you have been called. And there is a reason, there is a dharma. So as we gather in satsang, it's a time where typically I don't begin with a talk. Today in the Kumbh, I always feel inspired just to remind people of how blessed we are so that no one takes it for granted. But this is a time for us together to dive deep into the truth of who we are. And we do it through questions, your questions. Cordless mic, hey, apne paas. So if anyone here has any questions, anything that is keeping you in any way separate from living as that eternal, infinite lover of the divine and the divine itself, feel free to just raise your hand. They'll bring you the mic and we will dive together into your question. Yes. And just share your name and share where you're from.
Namaskar, my name is Mrunal. I'm from Sydney. You just mentioned about divine. So at times in my mind there is confusion because since my childhood, that divine entity is either Lord Ganesha or Lord Shiva. So obviously huge respect for all these deities, but really don't know from where to start. And then one day this, one day that, and that's where at times I feel I'm distracted. So as you mentioned, we have to probably understand what exactly purpose is, but then what should be the first step and something which can be performed consistently.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So, first of all, it's really important to remember that whether we are worshipping Bhagwan Shiva, whether we are worshipping Ganeshji, whether we are worshipping Krishna Bhagwan, Ram Bhagwan, Ma Durga, Ma Saraswati, Hanumanji, or whether we are just chanting Om, or whether we are worshipping the divine in the name of other religions, whether we are from a different religious stream that gives a different name, a different path, they're all different ways into the same river. In Rishikesh, we live right on the banks of Mother Ganga. And I always say, it doesn't matter how you get into Ganga. You can get in at Parmarth Niketan, our ashram, by just walking down the marble steps. If you're not a very good swimmer, they've got chains. You can hold on to the chain and take your dunk, or if the water is very fast. There's a sandy beach up at Ramjula most of the year. You can walk in right off the sandy beach. Some people like it a little more adventurous. There's some rocks up by Lakshmanjula that I know people have jumped off of. Doesn't matter how you get in. Ganga's not giving extra blessings based on where you get in. No extra credit, no demerits. The only point is get in. Whatever vehicle you can use to get in, that's all that matters. If you want a railing, you want steps, by all means, use the railing, use steps. If you happen to be a beach person, go in on the beach. If you're young and adventurous, do your triple backflip and land in Ganga. But it doesn't matter, because they're all taking you to the same place. And in the same way, worship whatever incarnation of the divine you want, but worship with love. And if you want to worship Ganeshji on one day and Shankar Bhagwan another day and Hanumanji another day and the Mother Goddess another day, sure, why not? Think about it. Are you married? Okay. Do you have, think about your mom or your dad, okay? Somebody you really love. Now, when you love someone, a spouse, your child, your mother or father, best friend, some days you just may be so happy to just look in their eyes. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything. You just want to be in their presence and look in their eyes. And as you look in their eyes, you feel your soul connecting to their soul, and you feel the presence of the divine in them, right? And then some days you've had kind of a rough day maybe, and you want to crawl in their lap and have a good cry, right? Some days maybe you just want to go for a walk and hold hands. Our Honorable Governor of Kerala and Bihar was with us last night and this morning. And he was telling about how when he was getting here, stuck for 3 hours in traffic on the bridge, how he was loving watching this couple. He said they must have been at least 75 years old, walking hand in hand. He said for 3 hours Our car moved at just about the speed that they walked. And he said, and they just walked hand in hand the entire time. Now, in a relationship with just a human being, there are times where you just want to stare in their eyes, times you want to cry in their lap, times you want to hold their hand, times you want to hug, times you want to just talk to them, just listen to how I'm feeling. Times maybe what you want is a hot meal or some freshly baked cookies. One person plays all of those different roles for you. Right? And maybe you even call them different names throughout ages. Mom, mama, mommy, mataji. Right? Or the beloved honey, darling, sweetheart. So many different names we use. But one person, different reflections, different manifestations, different relationships based on the mood, the moment, the characteristic. In the same way, we have all of these amazing manifestations of the divine who have been here on earth in form at different times for different reasons. When we look at Brahma, Vishnu, the Vishnu avatars, Bhagwan Shiv, different needs, creation, generate, sustenance, dissolution. Doesn't matter. Worship one, worship all of them, worship the word Om, knowing that they are in all, that they are all in that. It doesn't matter. But don't get distracted. Be in love. If you can be in love with different names, different ways. You know, there was a poem I remember when I was a teenager that we used to give to our beloveds. And I'm forgetting the poet, a very famous poem that said, "How do I love thee? Let me count the ways." And it's a beautiful poem. I love thee like this. I love thee like that. I love thee like this. Just love. If when you close your eyes and you think about Ganeshji, you feel like you are merging into the divine, beautiful. If when you close your eyes or you open your eyes and you are with Shankar Bhagwan and that makes you feel like you are merging into the divine, beautiful. But do that which makes you feel on the inside. Not that these rituals are just something that is a to-do list. Monday this, Tuesday that. Then it just becomes like your spiritual gym, right? Mondays weightlifting, Tuesdays aerobics, Wednesdays core, Thursdays legs, right? It shouldn't be like that. Do whatever you can do with full love and full devotion, knowing that ultimately it's one divinity. And the point is just to have that experience, just to melt and to merge in love into that divine. Beautiful. Yes. Other questions? Yes.
So my name is Django, and I'm from New York.
उनकी आवाज पीछे आ रहे हैं? सुनाई दे रहे पीछे? सुनाई दे रहे उनको पीछे? ठीक, नहीं दे रहे हैं। आवाज बार बार कहना नहीं चाहिए भैया, आप अपने आप कर लीजिए, ठीक है ना? बढ़ा दो आवाज, ठीक। Yes.
My question,
Speak loudly.
I'll try. All right, so my question, this is a catalyst for our soul's growth. What other things can we do to assist with that process when the stars are no longer perfectly aligned and the planets no longer perfectly suit?
Beautiful. So, first of all, our soul is not growing. And this is really important because people talk about, you know, this happening to my soul, or my soul is doing this, the soul just is. The only verb that should be associated with the soul is the verb to be. Your soul just is. It's not actually doing anything. It's not growing, it's not shrinking, it's not realizing, it's not developing. The soul just is. The problem is the mind. The mind forgets that the truth of who we are is soul. And so the mind thinks we are the body. And when the mind thinks that we are the body, we suffer. Soul just is. Now, when we speak about soul, there's many ways, but there's two main ways that we speak about soul, and it's important to actually touch on both of them. The first is what we refer to as Jiv Atma. That's the individual soul associated with my particular karmic package, my karmic journey in this lifetime. That soul is attached to, or rather accompanied by, what we call Sukshma Sharir, or the subtle body. Man, Buddhi, Ahankar. The mind, the intellect, the ego. Or if you think about it in terms of the koshas, the sheaths, the pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, these again, it's the energetic body, the mental body, the intellectual body. This accompanies the Jiv Atma, the individual soul, from body to body to body as I am taking reincarnation, as I am taking birth and dying, taking birth and dying. Liberation or moksha happens when my subtle body work is done, and that's when the Jiv Atma merges into what we call Param Atma, the supreme soul. It's the subtle body made up mostly of mind, impressions in the mind, that keep us separate. It's the subtle body that keeps the individual soul having to keep taking these births. This is why we do sadhana, because sadhana purifies the mind, the intellect, the ego, so that, hopefully, we will be free of that, and then our individual soul remerges with the Supreme Soul. Okay? On that level, this Maha Kumbh is this incredibly powerful opportunity to purify the mind. Because the mind is stuck. It's stuck with false beliefs, with false identities. It's stuck with attachment. We were speaking the other day about rag and dvesh. This idea of likes and dislikes. I need this, I hate that. Give me more of this, keep that away from me. This dichotomy that's part and parcel of the way that most of our minds work. So we're stuck in that. When our minds get purified, then we realize there is nothing that we need, and there is nothing that is problematic for us. So those aversions disappear, the desires disappear. The mind gets purified. We realize I am not the body. I'm not the story, the narrative, the drama. Other things that are incredibly powerful: meditation, chanting God's name, japa, kirtan, going on pilgrimage to holy places, seva, service, selfless service. But seva is different than volunteer work, because seva is a spiritual practice. Seva says, through serving you, I purify myself. So it's not, oh, I'm the great humanitarian and you are the ones with nothing. I'm the giver, you're the receiver. I'm the feeder, you're the eater. Seva is, thank you for agreeing to play the role of receiver so that I can play the role of giver and see myself in you. That's the practice of seva, is to see the self in all. So seva is very, very powerful. Grace, the grace of a guru, the grace of masters. Consider it the spiritual hack in terms of the shortcut, right? The catalyst that cuts through the nonsense. Surrender to the Guru. That grace of the Guru cuts through everything. But lastly, it's important to realize, as I began, that there's two ways of talking about soul. One is this Jiva Atma, individual soul, taking birth after birth with its Sukshma Sharir, the subtle body. But on the other level, there is nothing but soul. And these individual souls that we talk about are just waves in the cosmic ocean. Even in this cycle of birth and death, they never stop being ocean. They don't actually go somewhere. It's not like supreme soul is over here and individual is over there and has to like find its way back. It's not that. They're waves in the in the infinite cosmic ocean. Even as they are the waves, still they are the ocean. So we also don't get caught up in this idea of like my soul. It's just soul. It's like if the wave was like, oh, look at me, the wave. By the moment it said, look at me, the wave is over. The wave is back as ocean. Every molecule of the wave that would have said, look how big I am, by the time it finished that sentence, it's back as the ocean. So we remember, even as we are working our karmic journey, we remember that there is nothing but soul. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, just that isness. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. Mika, it's here or it's there? Okay. Those of you who are here as part of the Shakti Kumbh, or anyone else who would like to join, we have a very, very special cacao ceremony that our beloved Mika is going to be leading us in just right after this. she'll tell you more about it, but it's a very ancient, very, very sacred ritual of the indigenous populations of so much of the world. One of the things that's very dear to our hearts, very important to Pujya Swamiji, to our Parmarth family, is to honor, to bridge, to celebrate, to reunite with the indigenous wisdom traditions from around the world. And we'll be having later this month a beautiful Kiva Kumbha Mela with so many indigenous leaders, shamans, grandmothers, medicine men, medicine women coming from South America, Central America, North America, Europe, to be here. But fortunately, we have Mika here with us already. And as a very, very special part of this Shakti Kumbh, she's going to be leading a pre-dinner cacao ceremony. So that's just here in the, right there where it says Exhibition Hall. So from here, we'll shift there, have a sacred cacao ceremony, and then a beautiful dinner. And we'll gather back here tomorrow morning at 8:30 for the yagna. There is, of course, yoga at 7, right here outside in the beautiful rising sun. So I hope that everyone will join us for all of the beautiful, beautiful offerings and opportunities. And so